Welcome to the Ann Arbor News' daily lunch break, where we take a look at some of the big stories making headlines. I'm Metro Editor Steve Peppel, and joining me is Assistant Metro Editor Emily Nash. Emily's been very involved both as a reporter and as an editor in our coverage of the ongoing controversy surrounding the slaying of Eastern Michigan University student Laura Dickinson and the follow the fallout that has hit the university over the past year. There were a couple of big developments in the case over the past week, and I was wondering if Emily could kind of talk about them a little bit.
Sure. The big development that happened last week was that Eastern Michigan University announced that it was going to pay Laura Dickinson's family $2.5 million. The family had not sued the university, but they took that action to preempt any lawsuit and make sure that it didn't just drag the case out further. And then yesterday, EMU received word from the U.S. Department of Education that the university will be fined $357,500 for violations of the Federal Clery Act, which is a law that governs campus security. EMU received the maximum fine for each of 13 violations, which is $27,500 per violation, and it was the largest sanction that the U.S. Department of Education has ever given to a university for violating the Clery Act.
Well, other than it being the largest fine, what's the significance of the Department of Education's action? Is it sending a message to other universities?
Well, we spoke to S. Daniel Carter, who's with Security on Campus, which is the watchdog organization that filed the original Clery Act complaint, and he told us yesterday that he does feel that this sends a very strong message to universities that the Clery Act will be taken seriously, which the governance of it hasn't necessarily been too strong in the past, and so he feels it's very important that universities understand how important this is, and the fines go a long way toward establishing that.
What has Eastern Michigan University itself done to rectify the situation and make sure that something like this doesn't happen again in the future?
EMU has been pretty proactive since they hired Butts Along, the law firm, to look into this, and they've introduced a 16-point security strategy, and they've done things like hiring a security firm on campus, adding cameras around campus, a number of different things, expanding some of the programming that they've done, and so they've really tried to address this in a number of ways.
So some good has come out of this terrible tragedy. With the fine and with the settlement with the Dickinson family, do you think Eastern Michigan is going to be able to put this controversy behind it?
Well, certainly there's a lot of people at EMU that hope that. I mean, it's been a very expensive controversy. As of today, when the fines were announced, they're up to at least $3.8 million with all the different things that they've had to pay for. But they're pretty hopeful. There's a lot of people at EMU that say that this is a turning point, that we're going to move past this. EMU is going to become a stronger place, but certainly a very expensive lesson.
Okay. Well, they haven't quite put everything behind them. We still have the retrial of Orange Taylor III, who's a suspect accused of murdering Laura Dickinson. What's happening with that?
Well, he was scheduled to go to trial in late January, but his attorney withdrew from the case earlier this month, and so that's surely going to delay the case. And so we're going to be in court this afternoon for a pretrial hearing where I'm sure they'll either appoint a new attorney or discuss how this is going to delay the case, and so we'll get a little bit better idea then, and certainly we'll have that information on our website so people can check back and find out what happens out of the hearing at www.mlive.com/Ann Arbor News.
Okay, well, thank you, Emily, and thank you for joining us.